And welcome to the Garden of Melissa. I have decided that I'm going to put an addition onto my garden today, so that's the project we're going to be working on. This is the area that I'm going to add onto my garden, and as you can see, I have outlined the area with my garden hose. I've just laid it down on the ground to show the shape that I want the garden to be, and I have brought out my garden edger, and I have used it just to make a nice indentation here into the grass that's going to show me where I need to start digging out my sod. Alright, I have pushed the spade down into the edge that I made with the edger, and I'm just prying up the sod. And I've got my lovely assistant here. He's lifting the sod out and he's throwing it in the cart, and we're just going to do this all the way around until we've got a nice edge started here on our project. Okay, as you can see, we've got a nice edge started here. Everything on the inside of that dirt path, all that grass is going to come out. We're going to be able to plant some beautiful flowers in there. It's going to be a nice rounded addition to the garden. As you can see, we're making some pretty good progress here. I'm just going along with my spade and separating the sod, pulling it up out of the ground. And I've got my assistant that's going along behind me, lifting it up and putting it in the cart. Okay, so we have dug out by hand all of the rounded area that we want to add to the garden. And now I have brought in my gardening stud, and he's brought up his man toy, and he is going to dig the rest out with the man toy.
Am I under it now?
Yep. Alright, so we've got all of the sod dug out. I went over it with a rake and tried to make sure and get all the little clumps of grass out of there, because those little clumps of grass will grow. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the whole area with some herbicide, and I'm just going to spray it over all the area. So if there's any little clumps of grass or grass roots left in there, that's going to kill those. We won't want those coming up in the garden. So that's going to be the next step. And then it's just like an artist with a blank canvas. It's a beautiful fall day, and it's time now to start planting flowers in the big area of the garden that we've added on. Right here I've got a peony root, and so what we need to do is just dig a nice hole for that peony root to fit down in. You want the top little buds to be 1 to 2 inches below the level of the ground right here. So I'm going to set that in there, and we're going to cover it up with dirt, and we'll move on to the next flower. I've got my lovely assistant Katie helping me plant these flowers in the garden. One big difference I can tell digging in the new part of the garden versus digging in the old part of the garden is the dirt. The dirt in the new garden, it is hard and dry and very hard to crumble. The dirt in the old part of the garden that has mulch on it is so moist and soft and crumbly, it's just perfect. That's one of the important reasons why I think it's a great idea to put mulch on your garden. It really improves the dirt. It makes it so it's not quite such big, hard clumps when you're trying to plant things. It keeps it moist and keeps it nice and soft and nice consistency. That's a big difference that I'm noticing as I'm working here in this new part of the garden that hasn't had any mulch put on it. I'm ready to plant some iris now, and for this hole I just made some divots on either side with kind of a mound of dirt in the middle, and I'm going to take the iris and I'm going to spread the roots so that we've got some of the roots are going on one side and some of the roots are going on the other side, and I kind of just settle it down in there.
The ribosome right here, you don't want that to be down in the dirt too deep, so you're going to leave that up higher, and then you're just going to kind of cover the roots and just a tad of the ribosome. Remember, I'm going to be adding some mulch, so I don't want it to be too down deep in there because I want it to be up above the mulch as well.
So some of the iris and the peonies that we planted last fall have started to grow really nicely. And as you take a look around at our addition, you can see that we've got a nice layer of mulch spread throughout. The final step was to lay the stepping stones. Now, a very important thing to remember, if you're going to put a path in your garden, you need to have that laid out before you plant your flowers, so that way your path isn't going to go right in an area where you've already planted something. So I had my path laid out. I knew where my stones were going to go before I planted my flowers. Something that you want to also remember when you're laying your stepping stones, I like to place them on top of the mulch, simply because year after year when you add more mulch, the mulch level is going to rise and the stepping stones are going to seem like they're getting lower. So the very first year, I put them right on top of the mulch. Once you place them on top of the mulch, what you're going to want to do is lift your stepping stone up, and you're going to want to level your mulch out like that. Make sure it's nice and level for your stone to lay on. You can wiggle it around like this, and make sure that when you step on any point of it that it's not teeter-tottering or wobbling. You want to make sure that it's all nice and level. If you don't, what can happen is you can step on your stone and it can crack because of the unevenness of it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've been inspired to add a new addition onto your garden.